안녕하세요, 여러분. Hello, everyone. Our story today comes from Korea, a country in Eastern Asia. In today's story about the blind man's daughter, you will notice that the girl's name is Shim Chung. Chung is her first name, like Jenny or Maria or Susie. And Shim is her family name. As in many Asian cultures, the family name is set first. So, if your name is John Smith in Korea, you would be called Smith John. Listen now to the tale of the blind man's daughter. $500 years ago, maybe more, there lived in a certain village a girl named Shim Chung. Her mother had died long ago, and now her father was going blind. Shim Chung was very beautiful. Her face was smooth and white. Her hair was shiny and black. She was very good and honest, and she had never been sick. It was as if nothing could harm her. She guided her father when he had to work. But his blindness kept him from work, and little by little, all they owned had to be sold to keep them alive. The old man Shim became a beggar. He felt ashamed that his daughter had to go with him 300 bags of rice for the temple. He told her his hope went away. Do as I say.
Our story today comes from the Philippines, a group of islands in the Pacific Ocean. Long ago, the early people of the Philippines made up stories to tell their children. These folk tales were the textbooks of their day. They served to preserve the history and traditions of the people. They told about events that had happened and also tried to explain the interesting things in nature that they saw about them. In a land of volcanoes, earthquakes, and violent storms, there was a lot to try to explain. Mountains erupted, and sometimes the earth shook beneath their feet, and new islands rose unexpectedly from the sea. The people were always surrounded by nature, so they were often puzzled by some of the oddities they saw, as is proper in a Jose and the crocodile. One day his mother asked, "Jose, will you please gather some coconuts? I need them for cooking and feeding the hogs, and your father would like to sell some at the market." "Yes, ma'am."
Homa. Hello. Come sit beside me, for I'm going to tell you a story from China. China is a very old, old country. In fact, it's the world's oldest living civilization. The Chinese people call their country Zhongguo, which means middle country. Today, most of the people live in small villages and work together in communes. But China also has several of the world's largest cities. The Chinese people are very proud of their nation, its long history, and its influence on other countries. The Chinese were the first to develop the compass, gunpowder, paper, porcelain, printing, and silk cloth. Is an old favorite. Sit beside me. Ma Liang. Ma Liang's parents died when they draw green trees and blue paint. After the painting lesson was over, the children went
The tale of Urashima Taro is one of Japan's oldest and most treasured folk tales. The story has been passed from one generation to another and is still an old favorite. Today, the Japanese people try to combine the best of Western and Japanese ways of life. They eat both Japanese and Western foods, read both Japanese and Western books, and wear both Japanese and Western clothes. The people love beauty, and many take vacation trips to admire the beautiful trees and flowers of their country. They often travel in large groups, and sometimes a whole school class takes an overnight trip. Japanese children go to school and study many of the same subjects as students in the United States, but more time is spent on reading and writing because the language is so difficult. The Japanese borrowed the Chinese system of writing as well as many Chinese words. The writing in of Urashima Taro. Taro's father. He would chat with the young small boat onto the beach and started home.